Okay, I have told you guys a million times to keep your casts small, don't make them unwieldy, but you keep ignoring my desperate pleas. So we're going to talk about how to handle multiple character arcs. How do we do it? How do we make this work? And that's it. How do we make this work? I'm Bones. I write comics, so many comics. I have 5 comics. It's crazy. Three active ones. But you know, crazy. And they have a lot of characters, especially the current ones. So. Where do we go? What are we doing here? When it comes down to it, writing character arcs, multiple ones, intersecting them, it's not hard in concept, it's not hard in theory, it's hard in practice. And it's going to be one of those things that you just need to practice. It's going to be one of those things that you need to rewrite, edit, and just try your gosh darndest at. Because when it comes down to it, your character arcs are all the same. They're all the same kind of structure. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. I've gone into character arcs before on this channel. I've gone into plot arcs on this channel, which are just more general types of arcs, which are the same as character arcs. Character arcs are just a fancy plot arc, you know? And when it comes to writing a zillion characters, it's just more arcs, and you just gotta sew them together real good. What are some tips, though? What outside of just like do writing but more, you know, like what outside of that? Okay, so when you are writing multiple arcs, you want them to run kind of together. You want them to, what is that? You want them to be moving along at the same rate. Sometimes they're not going to, like a small sub arc of a character who croaks, you know, like they're not going to be throughout it the whole time. Maybe you have a side character who shows up for like a little bit, who has like a little arc within the middle, like that's fine too. But in general, when we're talking about your main cast and your secondary characters, you want them to line up. And there's 2 kind of ways in which characters line up, and that's like parallel and intersecting. So even if your characters never meet one another, their plot arcs are they're gonna follow like the similar pattern, and you're gonna want them to reach points at the same time as other characters are. So like even if your characters are distant from each other, they should be reaching the midpoint of their story along the same time. And one midpoint might be more intense than the other. You might want one that gives you like a space to kind of like take a breather, something that's maybe less action heavy but more emotionally tense. You want those to coalesce at the same time. Sometimes you're going to want them to intersect at those points. Points of interest, important points along the graph, like midpoint, turning points, anything like big like that. Like that's a time where you can use another character to create movement in the other character's plot. You can use intersecting like that. It can be a great way to both bring the characters together and move their plots forward. So paying attention to points where a lot of your characters are running parallel without intersecting, like, can be a good time to think, okay, like, who can I bring together? What chemical reaction can I cause by adding this character and this character? They see each other at that moment, you know? Like, when does your main character meet your villain, you know? Like it's just gonna, again, come down to, like, you want things to line up together nicely. And literally that's all there is to it. Frustratingly so. It is going to be incredibly case by case, but I would like to talk about some other aspects to it, and namely, like, what is the purpose of having multiple character arcs aside from like showcasing all your cool OCs. Like, why do you add them? What purpose do they serve to stories in general? And how do you know when it might be like a good idea to cut them? When it comes down to it, your characters and their arcs, they are all part of a thesis, basically. Character arcs, characters within your story, all serve the function of exploring theme, basically. Your story will have its overarching themes, usually more than one, and all of your characters are going to interact with the themes of your story to create your kind of arguments, like what you are saying about said theme. Theme tends to very naturally develop, but it's something to keep in mind when you're looking into your stories. When you actually take time to think about the themes that you are developing, you can look into your characters and see like where certain characters just don't fit into the story. You know, what ones aren't really serving the goals, right? That's usually where I can kind of draw lines and really change things. So I have a comic called The Scourge of 9 Point, and we have 3 main characters for it that run parallel to each other. Well, 3 introduced. We have Marble, Lace, and we have Mitzi. And a very obvious theme is about coming of age and growing up, because I've always wanted it to be like a story where like we actually watch the characters go from children to like young adulthood or whatever. Like, I love Gurren Lagann, and that's the vibe. It's kind of like about like how they all grow up and find their places within like their society, right? It's about like identity, I think, is like a big thing I'm interested in, because we have Mitzi, who always has wanted to be a knight since the day she was born. She's like, I want to be a knight. And then we have Marble, who believes that he is a raccoon, but he is actually a cat. He is a calico, and they're like persecuted. So that is an identity that he has to grapple with. We have Lace, who she has her own things that definitely line up with that, but I can't really spoil them so far. But those two in general, like they show off kind of like the same theme. They're like Mitzi is going to have to reckon with the fact that being like a knight isn't really that cool. Or maybe she'll think it's really cool. I don't know. She has to grapple with that because the cats hate all calicos and have them killed, and you know, like, calicos are cool, maybe? I don't know. The point is that they're on very similar stories, similar themes, and there's a lot of that throughout it. The Books of Avo, my other comic, a lot is about free will, self-determination, I guess, would be a theme, where Juliet, she has a controlling mother who really has like her life planned out for her, and she wants her own life, gosh darn it. And then we have like Tria, who is the daughter of the god of shadows, who feels that who's really uncertain about like who she is, I guess, and she fears and feels kind of resigned to the fact that she is like her evil parents, you know, like that she doesn't have control over that. Lul, my boy, my character, he has the same thoughts. He feels that there's no escaping like who you are and nature, all that stuff. And it also all through lines into the main villain who very much has issues with the concept of free will. But then there's like other themes too that exist totally, like mortality and death. Like every character is gonna like end up being part of your theme. I don't know, that's a horrible, like every character adds something to it. Every character deals with it in a different way, and you want characters to deal with it in a different way, and you want to be able to see different sides of it. I was going to talk a bit in another video about like the villain problem, but like the way that your villain interacts with your theme is very interesting, because there is an issue that tends to happen with villains where your villain is right, but they're going about it in the wrong way. But then you never explore the flip side of that. You never explore someone who does go about the villain's plan in the quote unquote like right way, and things end up being like very status quo or whatever. I don't know. The point is that these larger concepts are probably like the most important aspects of having multiple characters. These are the kind of things that you can't do as well with single characters, without having like foils, without having different explorations of said characters. Because other than that, other than really thinking about like the purpose, the integral like aspects within like theme and outside of like structure, a lot of it just comes down to getting in the weeds with it. Like it's very hard to write a lot of characters and weave a lot of character arcs together. Like I think there's only so much advice that can come with the topic, which is why I kind of like worn off it. Not to mention the fact that each character you add exponentially like increases the size of your story, which may be something you want to do, but like still like be careful about that and see if you can say what you want to say in a more concise way. And just when you don't think about your themes and you don't think out them thoroughly, they still exist. They're going to be something that everyone sort of absently will add to their stories. Yeah, but like you'll add those things in subconsciously, and then people can judge you. I guess. I don't know. It's better to think about them, because it does exist whether you put it in or not. Just the things you're drawn to. Like you can't get away with not saying anything. That is all. Yeah. And if you really want to work on it, like you just need to get people to look through it, and you gotta write it. you can't just think about it, because it's just hard. It's just hard work. That's all. Thank you for listening. Sorry I meandered there. My voice is dying. It's nice talking to you guys again. I am enjoying recording videos. It's a pretty heckin' great time, and I am enjoying streaming a lot lately, so please check out the streams. My voice, where is it? I need to go find it. Alright, goodbye.